Here is this week's article, the last of the three. Meet the candidates, Joe Biden. Image one, former vice president and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden speaks to reporters after eating at a taco restaurant on May 8th, 2019 in Los Angeles, California. Some tacos sound good. Joe Biden's career has been defined by creating shared interests and compromise between Democrats and Republicans. That began on his days as a Delaware senator and continued in his becoming the vice president of the United States. Biden's life has been full of trial, tragedy, and triumph, and he hopes to triumph over incumbent President Donald Trump in 2020. Early life. Joe Biden was born November 20th, 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and he moved to Delaware when he was 13. Biden went to the University of Delaware and then to Syracuse University in New York to obtain a degree in law. Senate career. At age 29, Biden was elected to serve as a U.S. Senator at the state of Delaware. The major accomplishment was shortly celebrated, though, as 2 weeks later, Biden's wife and daughter were killed in a car accident. His two sons, Hunter and Beau, survived. Despite the tragedy, Biden continued his career as a senator and became Delaware's longest-serving senator after winning re-election 6 times. As a senator, Biden became known for getting policies passed by collaborating and compromising with politicians from both parties. Key policy initiatives. In the 1990s, rising crime rates across the country inspired Biden, along with a handful of other Senate Democrats and Republicans, to write a bill. It would impose tougher prison sentences at the federal level. It also designed to encourage states to follow suit by providing funding for building prisons. The bill was signed into law by then-President Bill Clinton. Some critics of the 1994 crime legislation say that law contributed to problems with mass incarceration or jailing of people, particularly the mass incarceration of people of color that exists today. Biden has argued that these criticisms don't bear out in data as it relates to federal incarcerations, which is what the bill affected. Roughly 88% of incarcerated people are in state prisons or local jails. Also, most states didn't take the government money. States and cities had started their own plans to increase punishments for crime. Parts of the bill also became the Violence Against Women Act, which continues to be supported by most Democrats today. Biden also twice served as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in 2001 and 2003, then again in 2007 to 2009. In 2002, he voted to authorize military intervention in Iraq, then later became critical of the U.S. involvement there. The COVID-19 outbreak resulted in an economic depression in the United States. Biden hopes to rebuild the American economy with his Build Back Better plan. Biden's agenda, which has been compared to Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal program, would enforce a Buy American program and include a $700 billion investment in industries such as tech and medicine. The plan would also focus on job creation to combat high unemployment numbers from the pandemic. Presidential bid. Here's a statement from him. No fundamental social change occurs merely because government acts. It's because civil society, the conscience of a country, begins to rise up and demand change. In August of 2008, Barack Obama officially selected Joe Biden to be his running mate in the race against opponent John McCain and his running mate Sarah Palin. On November 4th, 2008, the Obama-Biden ticket won, and Joe Biden became Vice President of the United States. As a vice president, Biden was a vocal supporter of President Obama and tended to fare well in approval polls. President Obama and Biden won 2 elections and both served 2 terms as president and vice president. In 2015, during Biden's last term of vice president, his son Beau died of brain cancer. Devastated from this tragedy, Biden announced that he would not run for president himself in 2016. Instead, he supported the campaign of Hillary Clinton, who was running as the Democratic nominee. An active critic of Donald Trump, Biden announced in April 2019 that he would be running in 2020. He joined an already crowded Democratic field. Early Democratic Party presidential primaries and caucuses took place in Iowa, South Carolina, and New Hampshire. These results showed Biden competing for the front-runner position against progressive candidate Bernie Sanders. Super Tuesday elections on March 3rd, 2020, Biden secured a majority of 10 of the available 14 states. He received 664 delegates of the available 1,344. On April 8th, Sanders ended his presidential campaign. This ensured that Biden would be presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, meaning he is assumed to be the nominee. In early June, Biden passed the 1,991 delegates needed to win the Democratic Party's presidential nomination and remains the only candidate to do so. On August 11th, candidate Biden announced California Senator Kamala Harris as his vice presidential running mate. why Biden could win. In a country where party lines have never seemed more divisive, supporters of Biden were excited for a candidate that seemed a bit more moderate. While former candidates like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren pushed for a dramatic shifts in American policy and government expansion, Biden's policy seemed more familiar. Much of his campaign is based around continuing the work he had already been doing alongside President Obama. Some voters have also drawn to Biden's ability to reach across the aisle and build relationships with Republican lawmakers. They hope a moderate candidate like Biden could unite moderate voters with Democrats in a general election. He could also take the race from the divisive incumbent, President Donald Trump, his supporters believe. Biden has received numerous endorsements from Republican politicians and organizations. One such organization is the Lincoln Project, a group of Republicans who do not support President Trump. Since progressive candidates Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren ended their campaigns, Biden has tried to reach the younger supporters. Former staffers of his opponents have advised Biden on issues including climate change and education. Biden has adopted more progressive policies like tuition-free college education at public universities for families with incomes under $125,000. In response to national protests following the death of George Floyd in May, Biden has increased the support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Biden supports reforms in policing institutions. However, he has refrained from supporting more progressive stances such as defund the police. Now, why Biden can lose? As a front runner of the polls from the beginning, Biden has gotten the most criticism of any Democratic candidate. He has been accused of multiple women of inappropriate behavior, and his son serving as the board of a Ukrainian company has raised questions about corruption. Several women claim that Biden hugged or kissed them without consent and made them feel uncomfortable. Biden initially denied the allegations, then later apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand more. I'm sorry for anything that I have ever done. I've never been disrespectful intentionally to any man or woman." Biden is also under fire for his son Hunter Biden's role as a board member of Ukrainian natural gas company called Burisma Holdings Limited. Hunter Biden told ABC in an interview that he now realizes it was unwise to join the board of a foreign company during his father's term as vice president. Still, he denied that he did anything unethical. Joe Biden echoed his son's denials, adding that while his son served as Burisma's board, he had removed a chief prosecutor because of their inability to tackle corruption in Ukraine. Many Republicans, including President Donald Trump, have called for formal investigation into Biden's relationship with Ukraine. Beyond any media controversy, Biden may lose the election based on his moderate policy proposals and inability to get young people to turn out the way they did when he ran with President Barack Obama. Polls are showing young voters backing more progressive candidates like Sanders and Warren. So there's some fear that a moderate candidate like Biden will lose to President Trump in the general election, just as Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Even with his more progressive platform, Biden may lose the election based on the perception that he is a moderate Democrat. He may not be able to get young voters to turn out the way they did when he ran with President Barack Obama. The COVID-19 pandemic forced Biden to move his campaign almost entirely online, while in-person audiences are limited to small numbers. Early concerns stemmed from the Biden campaign's inability to connect with young voters on social media, as opponent Bernie Sanders had succeeded in doing. Many Americans have raised issues with how the pandemic will affect the November presidential election. Some voters may be unable to vote by mail or go to polls due to health concerns. Okay, this article was updated in July. That being said, class, that's it. Those are the 3 articles. I'll see you guys later.